Welcome into Hitting Hard with Jon Chuckery. Today on the show, Dansby's going to get paid, but by who? What are the Falcons' passing game expectations this season? And where does Stetson rank among all SEC quarterbacks? We're going to talk about all of that. It's Hitting Hard with Jon Chuckery on Locked On Sports Atlanta.
This is Hittin' Hard with Jon Chuckery, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta. And it starts now.
Welcome in on this Thursday to Hitting Hard with Jon Chuckery here on Locked On Sports Atlanta. Head over to youtube.com, put Locked On Sports Atlanta into your search browser, find our page, subscribe to us, leave us a comment about what we're talking about. We're also free and available on all of your favorite podcast platforms, including Spotify and Odyssey. Find us, leave us a 5-star review there, and of course, follow me on my personal Twitter page at JMCH316. As the Braves are in the midst of this 7-game winning streak and last night blowing out the Oakland A's and now get ready for a 4-game set against the hapless, miserable, awful Pittsburgh Pirates. And, they should, I would think, win at least 3 out of 4. One of the side notes that we got yesterday in Braves land is Dansby Swanson won his arbitration case. Braves wanted to offer him about $9.3 million. He won and got $10 million for the year. Now, we know Dansby's going into his free agent year as a shortstop in Major League Baseball. Dansby's going to get paid. And when you look at the growth of Dansby over the last couple of years, so last year, 27 homers, 88 RBIs, 78 runs scored, 9 stolen bases. And for the last really 3 years, he's played near Gold Glove caliber shortstop. This year, Dansby is on pace for 17 homers, 74 RBI, 26 stolen bases. He already has as many steals this year as he did all of last year with 91 runs scored. Now, when you factor that in offensively, so you have a shortstop who's a 20-homer type of shortstop who's got good speed and can steal some bases. And then you add in the fact that I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction. Today is June 9th of 2022. On June 9th of 2022, I'm going to tell you that this is the year Dansby Swanson wins the Gold Glove in the National League. He should have won it 2 years ago in the pandemic 60-game year. He was absolutely, by every analytic, the best defensive shortstop in the National League. And he was right near the top last year. I think Brandon Crawford was the winner last year. Now, with Dansby winning his arbitration case and putting him in that $10 million salary range and being a free agent at the end of this year, what kind of money are we looking at with Dansby Swanson? If you look at some of the shortstop contracts, for instance, Brandon Crawford a few years ago signed his deal for 6 years, $75 million. Didi Gregorius signed a couple of years ago, 2 years, for $28 million. Tim Anderson, who is still a very young player and signed very early, 6 for $25. I'm not going to really look at that. Trey Turner with the Dodgers, he signed a 1-year, $21 million deal. So where does Dansby fit in all of that? Well, Brandon Crawford is sort of one of the top-tier gold standard shortstops in the National League, along with Trey Turner. Crawford is probably not the offensive player that Dansby is, although Crawford had a monster year last year. He was terrific last year and was a top-tier MVP candidate, but he's kind of leveled off and come back to earth a little bit. But he is an outstanding defensive shortstop and has always been a top-tier defensive player. But I think Dansby's a better all-around player. When you look at offense and ability to run and defense, I think he's a better all-around player. He may not have the batting average that Trey Turner does. Trey Turner's consistently been in that 300 range and a pretty good run producer with some speed at the top of the order. But Dansby shouldn't get less than $15, $16 million a year, right? I mean, if we're talking about in the year 2022 and he's going to be a free agent with some guys that have made $14, $15 million that are not the same player that Dansby is, and I don't care about his batting average. I'll be honest with you. I don't care about his batting average too much. I don't care about his strikeouts. You give me a shortstop that's 20 homers and 75 RBI, 20 stolen bases, and can win the Gold Glove at shortstop. There aren't many of those guys running around. And what's going to be fascinating is, are the Braves going to be the ones to pay Dansby? Are they going to break Dansby off? Because here's what I do believe. Maybe Dansby takes a little bit less, 12, $13 million versus maybe finding 15, 16, 17 on the open market. But Dansby ain't going to play for fish heads and rice. He ain't playing for a Ronnie Ozzie deal where he makes only $1 million next year. He's already a $10 million player. So you're going to have to come up with some scratchole if you want Dansby to be here long term. And we talk about losses and things like that. Look, say what you will about how well the Braves have kind of rebuilt this roster in some ways, but it would be a big blow in a 2-year period to lose both Freddie Freeman and Dansby Swanson to free agency. Do I think the Braves are going to sign Dansby long term? I don't know. And I'll say my gut right now would say no. My gut right now would say that they're going to let Dansby go hit the free open market and see what he could get. I think they'll make an offer for Dansby. And look, they made an offer for Freddie Freeman. I don't know. I don't know enough about Dansby's agent situation. I don't think that, his agent's going to back the Braves in a corner and come up with this demand and all this kind of stuff like what happened with Freddie and all that. But I don't know that Dansby's going to be here long term. And if you have a 20 homer, 20 steal, gold glove shortstop who can drive in some runs, and by the way, Dansby's hit all over the lineup. Dansby's really, done a good job of anchoring that number 2 spot in the batting order for the Braves this year. And I've always thought that Dansby profiles more as a number 2 hitter simply because he's got good speed. He's got enough power. And I know Ronnie's got a lot of power at the very top of the order, but when you're talking about knocking in your 8-9 hitters and leadoff hitter, Dansby's got plenty of power, plenty of gap power. He can drive in runs. Yeah, he's not going to hit for a lot of average. Yeah, he doesn't have a very great on base percentage. You'd like obviously your number 2 guy to be, 1 and 2 guys ought to be pretty high in on base percentage. That's why Olson has hit there and Freeman has hit there over the years for the Braves. But while he may not have the great on base, he's got the really good speed. So he's another guy that, okay, Olson hits third and Dansby's on first, and you hit a ball to the wall, in the gap with Dansby at first. Dansby can score on that play. Dansby can truck it around and he can score from first on a play like that. Ronnie can absolutely do it without question. I think Dansby's in that kind of group as well. So we start talking about 20 homer shortstops, 20 steal shortstops, gold glove shortstop. How many of those guys are running around? How many of those guys are in Major League Baseball today? How many guys are available like that? That's an incredibly valuable commodity. The old axiom in baseball is you need to be good up the middle of the field, right? Catcher, short, second, center field. Always be really good defensively up the middle there. And if you can be good offensively, right? You'd love to have a top-tier center fielder. You'd love to have a top-tier keystone combo, your second base and shortstop, and you'd love to have a top-tier catcher. I'm not saying Dansby's the best shortstop in the National League and, he's the best that there is. But if you look at Dansby's numbers and the way he profiles out, and again, you can get into the sabermetrics, the analytics, the metrosexual stats, and all these things that, these goofballs love to get themselves in. Here's what I know. He's a 20 homer, 75 RBI, can be a 20 steal, gold glove caliber shortstop. Those guys are rare commodities. He's going to get paid. I'm just not sure that the Braves are going to be the ones that are going to break him off. All right, when we come back, what are the expectations of the Falcons passing game coming up this year? We'll look at the median NFL stats from last year, and can the Falcons be better, worse, what have you? We'll talk about that next. It's Hittin' Hard with Jon Chuckery on Locked On Sports Atlanta.